Good morning, Birds fans. It is a Tuesday get-together here on Birds 365. You've got Mac right here with you, John McMullen, Jody McDonald, who will hang with you for the next 2 hours. We got two good guests coming your way. Johnny Mac, sometimes when we roll the open and you and I get ready to talk 2 hours of Eagles football, some days it's tougher than others. For me today, it's a quick turnaround after being on the radio till 2 o'clock in the morning. Could have used another hour or two of sleep, but suck it up, get it done. But I got to thank our good friend, Chris Sims.
Chris Sims, baby. He's there.
Grist for the mill for today's conversation. I'm sure that the good number of the people that have already streamed in, and we'll repeat it once or twice over the course of the show, know about the analyst for NBC Sports and co-host with Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk on the TV side as well, does his annual quarterback rankings. And we're supposed to give Chris Sims an elevation in how he can evaluate quarterbacks in the NFL. Since he was one, he wasn't the real good one. That's why he didn't stick around as long as he probably wanted to. Didn't stick around surely as long as his father did. But he is a former NFL quarterback, so you would think that he would know the position. And overall, his rankings, I think, are fine, except for the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is 3 years running that, in my estimation, coming into the season, and when we give you these rankings, know full well that these are projections. These are what he thinks is going to happen in this upcoming year and how the quarterback should be ranked as per what they will accomplish during the upcoming season. So 2 years ago, Chris Sims had Jalen Hurts ranked as the 40th. That's 40, not 14th, not 4th, the 40th quarterback in the National
Wasn't he
Football
outside the 40? Or he was 40? I thought he was
outside the 32.
Oh, okay.
One per starting quarterback. I think he was 40th. I think he had him number 40. There are only 32 teams, and we all knew he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Carson Wentz had been dealt. We knew he was going to be the starting quarterback. Yeah, he'd played a handful of games the year before, but he had him outside the top 32 at 40th. And all Jalen Hurts did was take the Eagles to a winning record above 500 and make a playoff game as a wild card team. 40th quarterbacks in the National Football League are not supposed to be able to do that, John. So he well overachieved Chris Sims's projections for his first year as a starter. So you knew he's going to have to rank him higher again the year after, right? He had him 23rd last season. Going into last season, he projected Jalen Hurts, when all was said and done, to be the 23rd best quarterback in the NFL. He was second, and it was damn close between he and Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes got the award, MVP. Hurts was, I think, in the lead with just a month to go. Fell on his shoulder. Those two missed games, hurt his chances, compromised him a little bit. But for my money, second best quarterback in football. Chris Sims had him 23rd in the NFL. So Chris Sims has come out with his quarterback rankings again.
Now, I hate to defend Chris Sims.
Go ahead.
Can I put a low? I don't know anybody who would have had, and I agree with you, Jalen Hurts was number 2 last year. I don't know anybody who would have projected him at number 2. Now, I think 23.
That's
there's a bunch of fans who think they knew he was going to be number 2, but I mean, realistic people. I don't know anybody.
There's one guy. He's a caller on WIP who actually.
I don't know anybody
better than Patrick Mahomes. Before the year started.
So the 2 part is not the issue with me. The 23 part is the issue. I recall I had him 16, 17-ish,
right,
mid-range,
middle of the pack,
which I think would have been fair. So I think it was a little bit low. He was way low the year before, obviously. I think he was a little bit low, and I think he's a little bit low this year as well.
Right. So my point is, 3 years in a row, he's underrated, Jalen Hurts. What's the deal? Okay, somebody pokes me in the eye this first year. I say something, they poke me in the eye. All right, I'm going to try not to give him a reason to poke me in the eye again. Oh, he did it again. So now he's been poked in both eyes. He's got no eyes left. So where is he going to rank Jalen Hurts coming into the season After last season, you and I both agree, second best quarterback in football. And apologies to those of you who believe Jalen should be number one. Sorry, Mahomes won the award. Mahomes won the game when they matched up, final game of the season. You got to at least give them the nod. You can say they're really close, but if you got to put them in order, it's got to be Mahomes 1 and Hurts 2. Where does Chris Sims have him? I will give you the top 10 because he ranked everyone. He's been counting down. At number 10, he's got Matthew Stafford, who was only 2 years removed from winning a Super Bowl, was injured last year. He's projecting a comeback. He doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of weapons after Cooper Kupp, but somehow he thinks Matthew Stafford will be the 10th best quarterback in football. Number 19, he's got Deshaun Watson. Kind of a on-the-come pick, came back, played last year, certainly played better than Jacoby Brissett, but didn't play like Deshaun Watson from Houston days, but he's projecting better. So he's giving him the number 9 spot. Aaron Rodgers at number 8. That just sounds low, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's disrespectful. But I have a Rodgers blind spot, so we all have our blind spots. Maybe he's descending. Hopefully for your case, he's not. But yeah, that seems low to me.
A little bit low. And then at number 7 comes Jalen Hurts. So even though he finished up last season as the second best quarterback in football, at least per John McMullen and Jody McDonald, he's got him dropping down to number 7. And they haven't finished off the top 4. So I'm just going to give you 6 and 5. That's where Sims
6 is where I really have a problem. I really have a problem with 6.
Number 6.
And by the way, I love the player, but I really have a problem.
As do I. Number 6 is Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had a bust-out season last year, to use John's favorite term. Startup course year number 1. Startup course under Urban Meyer. He didn't exactly jump out and wow the world in year number 1 as the number 1 draft pick in the country. Doug Peterson comes in, better offensive-minded coach, better play system. Trevor Lawrence takes a major step up, gets the Jaguars into the playoffs, wins a playoff game in amazing come-from-behind fashion, but then got eliminated from the playoffs. He's already jumped Jalen Hurts, who has been number 2 in the MVP, has already been to the Super Bowl. I know it's a projection list, and I love the possibilities and the upward inclination of Trevor Lawrence's career. Not yet. How do you put him ahead of Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Hurts off the season that they've had? I get it. He's got tremendous upside. Don't you have to show a little bit more before you cash in on that upside, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, from my perspective, but I always say with these lists, you know me, Jody, I just turn to the next list if you don't like it. But, you know, for people that get upset about these types of things, disrespect season, as I like to call it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from my standpoint, but you have to understand everybody gauges differently. That's the problem, right? We're not all on the same. Like I just saw somebody in the comments say, number 5, who you're going to get to. Can I give it away, or do you want to give it away? Number 5 is Lamar Jackson from Baltimore. So, you know, I saw one person say, how could you put Lamar Jackson above Jalen Hurts? And by the way, I wouldn't, but I'm just giving you, you know, devil's advocate. And he said, what about playoff wins? Well, that's your gauge. What about MVPs? Jalen was second. He won an MVP. So that's what I'm saying. You can manipulate it any way you want, and everybody thinks about things differently as far as how they grade and how they rate and how they put these lists together. Obviously, with Trevor Lawrence, it's tremendous projection. And by the way, I think he's going to be a really, really, really good quarterback. And I assume we don't know the top 4, but I assume we do know just the order. It's going to be Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, who are all very, very gifted people. And of those top 4, right now, I would, and I'm just doing it in my head, I would have Jalen at number 3 behind Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And I have Justin Herbert 4, Josh Allen 5. Josh Allen is...
Well, now I'm going to question you, Mr. Everybody's got their own perspective. What gets Justin Herbert ahead of Josh Allen?
Yeah, mistakes. I mean, Josh Allen, of the top quarterbacks, nobody makes more mistakes. Nobody turns it over more. Nobody makes more dumb decisions in big situations. That guy is so gifted, but he makes too many mistakes. And, I would knock him down even more. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even put Rodgers in there. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. I would probably put Rodgers still in the top 5. And I'd probably knock him down even further. He made a ton of mistakes. I go back to that game of the year. There's no way Minnesota should have won that game. And I put that in quotations. He's fumbling the ball. The game's over. He's fumbling the ball at the goal line. And then, by the way, Jody, in the same game in overtime, because we all talked about that Vikings defense was so bad, he's just going down the field like sliced butter. And then all of a sudden he forces the football in the end zone, Patrick Peterson interception. They should have won that game 6 times if it wasn't for his mistakes. So that's why I kind of knock him down a few pegs. Jalen Hurts, tremendous ball security. And, to me, typically when you have quarterbacks, dual threat quarterbacks, whatever you want to describe them, you say Jalen likes to call himself a triple threat quarterback. Typically, those guys make mistakes. Jalen doesn't make mistakes. Now he made it, but now people are going to bring up the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he made a big one in a big game.
He did, but I'm talking about the large sample size compared to other quarterbacks. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So to me, that knocks Josh Allen down a bit. But everybody's different. And that's what the Buffalo people would probably jump down my throat. He's done it for years. Jalen Hurts has only done it for 1 year. All right.
Well, no, but see, Jalen made it to the big game, and Josh Allen hasn't. That's why I don't have a problem with Jalen being ahead of Josh Allen. Let me see if I got enough hands to count the number of playoff victories Justin Herbert has. Oh, that would be none. So, yeah, and everyone, as you just said, everyone's got their own factors, how much weight you put on them. I look at results. I'm a results-oriented guy, and Josh Allen has gone to the playoffs and won in the playoffs. Justin Herbert got there for the first.
Then we can take it further and say, well, Josh Allen hasn't made it to the Super Bowl. And I could say, if I wanted to,
Josh Allen hasn't made it to the Super Bowl. Where the hell has Justin Herbert made it?
Well, no, I'm saying, but you're focusing on 2. Then I could focus and say, well, he's got a tougher road than Jalen Hurts. So, and I have Jalen. I'm just pointing out all the ways you can go. You can go any way you want to go, because everybody's different. And that's where we are in society, right? Nobody wants to, I'm right, you got to follow me, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's like that on social media. Everybody's like that on Twitter. Other people don't have, so when I talk about disrespect season, other people don't have your same sensibilities. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people in general. Nobody agrees, Guess right. What? With fans,
that's why we have Birds 365, because you and I don't agree, and the people who are streaming in with their comments don't agree with some of it. It makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Well, when I really don't agree with somebody, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to air my.
That's no problem with it.
Here's why I think my criteria are superior to the criteria that Chris Sims are using. And oh, by the way, we have the results thereafter, because this is a projection for the upcoming 2023 season. In February, we'll be able to look back and say, well, how did those quarterbacks play? Would you now ranking them on what they just did in this past season? How would you rank them? And he's been 0 for 3 with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has outperformed Chris Sims' projections 2 years in a row, and now it's going to be 3 years in a row.
Well, there's no doubt about that he's outperformed Chris Sims' projections, but I'm just trying to talk people off the ledge. Like, as you point out, who the hell's Chris Sims? Who cares? If you don't like Chris Sims' list, go to a different list. That's all I'm trying to say. And we all have differing opinions. Like I just said, Jalen Hurts is number 2 coming off last season. He was the second best quarterback last season.
Correct.
Is he going to be the second best quarterback this season? If you tried to pin me down, I'd say probably not. Probably not. I love Joe Burrow.
Not far from it. And
no, not far. 7. I don't think he's going to be far from it. But probably not going to be number 2. There are certain guys. I love Justin Herbert. I get the upside, the potential, the ceiling. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is behind Justin Herbert from a progression standpoint because he's younger, but he won a playoff game. It's all like one of the things you and I disagree on. As you just mentioned, you're a big results guy. You're a big results guy. Well, my problem with results, if you just say so and so beat so and so, everything's not in a vacuum. Right now, the AFC is much tougher than the NFC. I don't, I'm looking at the NFC and saying who's gonna challenge the Eagles. Well, we think the 49ers are going to be a good team, most of us, but they don't have a quarterback, or they don't have a situation where they understand who the quarterback is going to be. They're kicking the tires on Jack Cohn. You know who Kyle Shanahan reminds me of at this point? John Gruden. John Gruden used to fall in love with quarterbacks quicker than anybody else and fall out of love with quarterbacks quicker than everybody else. And all of a sudden you have this you're on this constant pinwheel. Dallas maybe, but the AFC on paper looks much, much more difficult than the NFC. And that's part of the brilliance of Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick is there. It doesn't matter. Patrick. And that's why he's number one. And everybody's fighting for number two. And by the way, number two is probably not close to number one at this point. Patrick Mahomes is clearly the best quarterback in football. But that's my opinion. Everybody's got other opinions. I don't know what Chris Sims thinks, but, he's been wrong on Jalen Hurts. So, if that's a positive, which I don't think Chris Sims has any effect on anything, but if that makes people happy and say, well, he underrated him 3 consecutive years and he always outperforms, then good. He's going to be a top 6 quarterback because by definition, number 7's not bad, by the way, but by definition, he's got to be top 6.
Yeah, but I'll still use the disrespect word. I think Chris Sims disrespected Jalen Hurts. Because when you're coming off a season when you're the second best quarterback in football, you and I agree on that, and we'll get Ed Crash to chime in on this in a second. To drop him down to number 7, that's disrespect. Yeah, Eagle fans, feel free. You want to get annoyed at Chris Sims. And here's the one thing I don't know, and I'll get your opinion quick, and then we get Eddie's as well. I think it's a reach, and we've gotten it here on the show, and I've got it on my radio shows. When Chris Sims goes where he goes and he disrespects Jalen Hurts. 2 years running now, make it 3. Some people draw the conclusion that Chris Sims does this because Chris Sims is Phil Sims's son, and Phil Sims was a Giant for life, and therefore Chris Sims grew up hating the Eagles because he was a dad fan, and he can't give Jalen Hurts his credit because he's a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't buy that. Do you? I just think Chris Sims is a poor evaluator of quarterback talent. I don't think it has anything to do with bias of being Phil Sims's son. Do you?
No, I think, and I said yesterday, I think it's engagement more than that. I think he's an engagement guy.
Yeah.
And by the way, fans give these people life. You know who does it locally. You know who does it nationally. I'm not even going to say the names. They're rewarded for it. That's why they do it. People like me who are, kind of middle of the road, don't do the hot take game for the most part. They don't get rewarded for that. Everybody wants hot takes. Everybody wants knucklehead, declarative statements. He's an engagement guy. That's what he is.
And he does get responses. The other phrase he's thrown around, probably overused these days, is clickbait. He's a on TV guy too, so I don't know that is applicable. But what he is wrong, right, Eagle fans? He's disrespected Jalen Hurts again this year. All right, no disrespect. We got a good one coming up. That would be Special K. Ed Kratz, Sports Illustrated, jumps in with us here next on Birds 365.
Do you